Moon in Taurus, and we having a sun on the Taurus Aries cusp. So what up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You watching Dave Beyond TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. Act like you know. So for the most part, we're gonna just jump right in, and we coming off of the new moon, so we already know new moon's on the cusp. So we were dealing with, when it came to the intentions that we needed to set, we were in that in between space. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, clearing the path, going hard, being intentional with the way we see and how we feel things, expressions, fire type energy, switching up pace, Mars energy, going to war to clear path for Venus like things, what we actually want, things that we enjoy, things that correlate with our values, things that we want to build on, things that we want to secure in our life. So right now, whenever we're going through a new moon phase, is when the moon is at a state of being pretty much like, you know, I want to say depleted. You know what I'm saying? It's like a woman who just gave birth. So it's like an energy of being uh, brand new, almost like, you know what I'm saying, a blank slate, where you might not feel as though you have the energy to really do what the moon needs you to do at the moment. It's like new. Um, so at these moments, and when I say like a woman after birth, even though, like, that release is more correlated to the full moon, right? But the state of being new is kind of like that recovery where, it's like fresh and it's new, and it's like, slightly, again, not at its strongest. Truth be told, see, the moon is at its strongest or most potent when you're during the full moon. You know what I'm saying? And so during a new moon, even though that's the time in which everybody is supposed to set your intentions, that's the whole thing about it. That's why during a new moon, you might not always have the energy or the ability, or feel like you have the ability to get up and do what you need to do. But that's the whole point of all this shit. This is what God look at, as far as when you say, oh, I want this thing, or this is my goal, or this is my dream. What are you actually doing to pursue that shit at the times in which you don't feel like it, or like you don't feel like you don't got the energy for it? There's a difference between you allowing space and time to recover, or you taking a moment for yourself to recollect yourself, for the sake of healing, repairing, getting back in your right mind, and then that versus you not doing what is necessary to achieve your goals, or doing anything that looks remotely like you are actually in pursuit of this thing. All the time we get caught up in situations like that, where again, you're forced to look at yourself at, like, are you being honest with yourself? Because a lot of people say they want things, but again, they think it's just gonna fall in your lap, and it's like God can only work through you. God can't work for you, is a good way to look at it. So it's like, when we come into situations, you have to co-create with the universe. You can't just expect the universe to do shit for you. And this is why a lot of y'all ain't doing shit now. You know what I'm saying? You waiting around, and it's like, look, it's very simple. Even though this shit can get complex, especially when you start to evolve your humanistic natures, say your lower natures and desires and wants, and all these different feelings and stuff like that. That's where you get a lot of the dirt. The dirt of the earth basically is like all of that shit. So every now and then you have to separate yourself that, and that's when we go into our spiritual experience, and we remind ourselves that we are spirits. We are no thing. We are not attached to any of these forms and shapes. These are just light forms that we're utilizing to express certain things that we wouldn't be able to express without these bodies. There's a reason why we're here, and that reason is to be the representation on a physical plane of your energy signature. So that even goes back to the whole point of all this shit, to be true to you. You know what I'm saying? To know yourself, to find yourself, to know yourself, be yourself, and go through those experiences to expand and improve upon your life and the expression of you. But all that shit aside, just get back into the astrology of things. So we are in that state of setting the tone for what we're about to build on, and set as far as seeds that we want to plant within the realm of parameter that we can look at and say, oh, this is going to be our foundation for the rest of the year. Because also, we have to look at the whole year and these different transits as we go through, as this is all, it all adds up. You know what I'm saying? It's all leading towards stuff. So you can't just, expect, like, I don't know, you got to look at it strategically, right? You start to live life a little more strategically when you be spiritually aware of things, because you realize that every moment counts. So any moment in which you choose to not be aware of what's going on in your subconscious, and you being intentional with your energy, that's time you waste. You know what I'm saying? You wasted time where you could have been doing things that's directly aligned with you. You know what I'm saying? Being intentional with your time is a very powerful thing. People who, again, it's like you got to look at time and energy as, if you don't use it, somebody else will. So what you don't take initiative on, for instance, within your own mind, as far as like, say you are a person, an individual, right? And not everybody has to be an entrepreneur, but let's just say you got aspirations to be one though. Say you do want to be an entrepreneur, or you do feel like you have a gift or talent that is something that you can truly utilize to take the place of a job, right? It's like you got this talent, this hobby, whatever it is that this dream, this goal that you have. But in those times, again, you are not as intentional with your times as you should be. And we're all working to be better. But you got this goal, but you aren't doing everything you aren't doing everything in your ability to achieve it. And we all got different things going through different phases, but at the end of the day, you have to be real with yourself and say, I'm not doing everything I could to replace my 9 to 5 with this goal and this dream. Because again, it within the realm of all possibilities, it's possible. You know what I'm saying? We see celebrities do it all the time. People who end up, again, just, even like a lot of these new streamers and stuff like that. These young kids who just decided to go in one day and do something. And they figured out, again, a unique way, a new way to earn a living doing what they want, or something that looks closer to what they want to do. We all got to end up doing some kind of balance at some point in life. But again, on what percentage are you? Are you looking at your life and say, damn, well, the majority of my day is spent doing what I want to do, or is it vice versa? No, majority of my day went to some bullshit or something that I didn't want to do with my time. Again, if you don't use your time and energy, somebody else will, because that's how this whole world, or this whole physical world, was built. You know what I'm saying? America, systems, all these systems in which we operate on, as far as having to get money to pay for a place to live within a country that's owned by a government, X, Y, and Z, all these different things. These are part of the physical world. So it's three of them: physical world, then the animalistic natures, that's the human shit, the emotions and connections and what matters to you on an emotional level. But then there's the spiritual experience, that's the third one, where it's like, I'm not ranking them by importance. We need to know when to tap into each one at what time, because being too much here, you lack what's going on in the physical, or you're too detached from anybody in your life to actually have a real connection. You too much in your feelings, you'll never actually expand or grow or see anything outside of what you feel. You'll never get out of survival mode. You'll never take authority in direction over your own life. You'll always be reactionary. And again, that emotional space can make you either very again, get a lot of blood in your hands in the physical world, fuck up your real life connections, put you in a state where you're too much in your pleasures, and you waste all your money on the wrong things. This is people who's addicted to certain things, and all their money, all their physical world go to that, because they can't control or regulate their emotions. So they're dealing with all kinds of depression, anxiety, X, Y, and Z. And they're too much in the physical world. Again, you don't got no spiritual foresight. You always getting stuck in a situation where you can't actually do what you want to do. You always got to do something for the bag. You're in survival mode a different way. It's almost like you all about the money, and you can't have no real emotional connection with nobody else. There's nothing you care about except for the physical world. So you lack on real life connections and knowing what it really feels to be cared and loved for. And you put that energy on out in the world too. You become very narcissistic, or very manipulative, in a way in which, again, people see you and they think you're materialistic and shit like that. So we gotta know when to jump into each one at what time, because you can't just sit in one. Even though it might seem like, well, if I'm, again, you might be in your spiritual bag and want to be righteous. You spend too much time in your spiritual experience, now all your bills is late. You done put yourself in a situation where you separated yourself from friends and family for no reason. So they looking at you crazy. They don't understand where you at. You know what I'm saying? Your house finna get foreclosed because you was too much in your, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we have to be aware. But, so it's, and that takes discernment, and that takes, a bit of wisdom. because going through different things make you aware of certain ways you want to interact in the world and certain ways you don't. Certain things you want in your life and certain things you don't, and you start to come up with your own unique way of kind of organizing these things. But so getting back into the astrology, we're talking about, the moon being in Taurus. The moon is now exalted and the sun is on the cusp. So as far as our awareness and what we're paying attention to is still like, okay, what do I need to destroy in order to lay the foundation or have a clean slate to have the foundation? Right now is the time where you should be looking to get up and get active. Like, there's no more time to waste. If it's not something that's correlated with your values and something that looks like what you have to offer to the world, and understand what that really is, what you have to offer to the world, self-esteem, like this is where that shit comes from. Your ability to feel secure in this world, your ability to get up, like even how they say like the second house and Taurus energy is correlated to the throat chakra. And it's just a metaphor to make you understand how powerful your voice is. It's like there's one thing about, again, the mind, the mental, the vision, right? We say, because astrology is about the body at the end of the day. So we got Aries energies that's at the head, right? And then you got Taurus energies that's at the throat. It's like the only way to get these visions from your head into the world is to speak them. And this becomes those seeds that you plant. So understand that right now you're creating your voice. You're curating your unique voice, because we got Uranus here. There's a unique voice that you're trying to craft and create. Now, when you get into your chart and stuff like that, you're going to have these planets in different houses than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So again, shout out to Solar Systems. You can check out his page, and he has what's called a solar map, and you can see where, again, every house is a different part of your body. And like I said, first house Aries type energy generally is the head space, but again, you might have Aries in the fifth house, so you got Aries more so in that solar plexus space where you're talking about, where the natural Leo energy is, but that's the stomach, you know what I'm saying, things. So understand where this energy is taking place in your life, you can get a better idea. But for the sake of this, just so everybody a universal understanding of it, right? And if you want a more in-depth, of course, I'm open for readings and stuff like that. You can email at me at either dave795ab@gmail.com. You can use that email, or just DM me on anything, Instagram, Twitter, at DaveBeyondTV. And then I'll get back to you. We can set up a reading where we can go in depth as to what's actually going on piece by piece. But for the most part, like I said, just a universal understanding, so everybody can be on the same page. First, and more so, and when I do that, that's when I talk about the transits as we're experiencing them throughout the year, basically. So, again, right now the sun technically is in our throats. So this is where it's the most important to speak on what it is that we were envisioning when we were going through Aries season, really back from when we was going through Pisces season. Because like I said, everything is a progression. That created a sextile. What we had on our subconscious during Pisces season, there's an opportunity to bring that forward and start to make that real, if you planted the right seeds all the way back then. Because if the wrong shit was in your subconscious, you probably spent all Aries season fighting back and forth with that. And now you have to kind of pretty much create a new thing that's going to make sense, if you can't rely on what you've been building. See, the better you become as a magician, the stronger you become as a spirit, the better you'll be able to track different things throughout all these transits. And this is how you really do stuff in the world, because it's the law of accumulation. Like that, I don't even know if that's a real one, but that's the one I'm kicking. It's the law of accumulation. If you can keep track of something and you can focus on it long enough to have it go through full cycles, you accumulate energy for it, and it's able to be now utilized for whatever you want to do it. But the people who can't stay focused on something long enough, you lack the consistency. This is where you lose momentum. And anybody who's in business or does anything related to shit like that or marketing, y'all know what I'm talking about. Because anything in your life, in any practice in your life, if you're not consistent with it, if you're not choosing to put energy and effort into it every single day, it lacks momentum. And anything with low momentum ain't gonna be able to have enough force to push through when you really need it. You know what I'm saying? It's always gonna fall flat. You know what I'm saying? You try to, with the right momentum, a certain object can run through anything, but we know that anything that it hits, it's going to end up slowing down. So if it ain't got enough momentum, it's like bowling. You know what I'm saying? If you throw that ball and that ball ain't got no real force to it, it by the time it reaches them pins, it's only going to hit like maybe one or two if you aimed right. But now if you take that bowling ball and you throw that junk and it goes speeding down and catch enough momentum off the floor, it's gonna knock, you can get a strike. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta look at your life like, you gotta understand things like that too. Your goals, a lot of these goals, people be on them and then you just fall off and you let it simmer and stuff like that. And see, look, here's the thing too, you gotta have enough faith and strength within yourself to pick it back up even if you let things lose momentum, because that's the thing too. It's like sometimes people end up giving up forever or procrastinating even longer when they realize that they lost momentum. That's not a reason to stop. You know what I'm saying? That's not a reason to stop. Even if you feel like you at a standstill, you always got the power to push that shit forward. There's always, again, we have access to all these energies. You know, you might not resonate with energy as much as another one. You might not feel always like doing a certain energy. You might not consider that energy your bag, but you have access to it. So when push comes to shove, being the magician or being a strong spirit is being wise enough to know when to use what. Because wisdom is what? The application of knowledge and shit like that. So there's knowing. You can know a bunch of shit, but without knowing when to use that shit, you lose. Because you'll never be able to catch the shift or do the thing at the right time. And in life, it's all about timing and alignment. You know what I'm saying? Things aligning, perfect timing, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even know I was rhyming. No, I'm just playing. About to drop a little freestyle real quick. But for the most style, a little flow style. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, that's how it goes. So during this time period, like the sun has got us focused on what we need to act on in order to lay these seeds, but the moon is exalted. So right now, your intentions, like I said, you might have a hard time right now doing the energy that the moon needs you to do. But the good thing is, since the moon is exalted, you can take a different approach to it. You know what I'm saying? You already know that when saying that the moon is exalted, it just means that the moon is where it loves to be, basically. So being that the moon is where it loves to be, we know that things that correlate with the moon is comfort, reflection, forms of connection, security, you know what I'm saying, being stable and fixed. So right now, with whatever intention you have, right, whatever vision for yourself you see, start to come to grips with, again, what you need to do. Start to get comfortable, make yourself comfortable with what you know you have to do. Start to look at these different things that you can, on an emotional level, start to resonate with. Just things that correlate to you on your path. Because that's the thing. The moon is right next to the North Node. So that right there is a conjunction. Conjunction can go a lot of different ways because it's a concentration of energy. But you can use that energy to get comfortable, right? To push yourself into a comfortable space, aka feed you a bunch of emotions, basically, when you're going through, again, because you have to understand, you create these things. Create the thoughts that's going to lead to the emotions that you want to feel in regards to your spiritual path and in regards to yourself as a unique individual, because you got Uranus there and you got the North Node there. So start to build on that, start to appreciate and put in active energy into feeling secure in your spiritual path, feeling secure in your uniqueness, and knowing that, hey, this is my unique way of how I'm going to gain stability in this world. This is how I'm going to secure myself, and start to solidify that plan. You know what I'm saying? Because the whole next 30 days, as far as us experiencing the sun in Taurus, is going to be us working actively, taking actions on fixated ways of gaining stability and being practical. So really hone in on what you believe is going to make sense for you. And, again, plant the right seeds. Now, depending on how you make sense out of things, understand that you might be out of whack with how you make sense out of things, especially if you are an opposite energy Scorpio or Leo or Aquarius, or, again, one of these in conjunction signs. You might, again, and this is a good thing to also note as far as going through any transit. It's good to look at your sun and moon and understand for, again, when the sun is going through, it's good to look at it more so for the sun, but you should break it down also for where the moon is. Look at where the sun is and look where the moon is, and then look at where your sun and moon is. If you are, again, if the sun is in Taurus, so whatever sun sign you are, right? You need to look at that time period as actions that are either going to trine, aka actions that might actually end up being a gift. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm glad we going through Taurus season, but you're a Capricorn. But you might act in a way that you should look at your actions during this next 30 days like, oh damn, yeah, I might have did it in a different way, but I'm glad I'm still within that element. Or thank God I still have my energy because I was able to kind of, again, use my energy as a gift. You know what I'm saying? It was almost like I could hit a different perspective of the Taurus energy because I'm a Capricorn or because I'm a Virgo. If you are say you're an inconjunct sign, or I say if you're a square. Well, yeah, inconjunct sign. Let's go. So if you're an in conjunction sign, so this would be from Taurus, this would be like, you would look opposite Scorpio, so Libra energy, or a, what's on the other side of Scorpio? Sag. Yeah, Sag. Or one of the fatal attractions. So if you're Taurus, it would be Gemini and Aries, right? If you're one of these signs, in conjunctions or fatal attraction type signs, or like, before and after type signs, you know that you might just misunderstand what to do at this time. So you need to know that when you're acting on things, that be aware of where you might not be understanding stuff. You might need to take a little more time to understand the energy actually at hand, because it might not be in your normal wheel of awareness. But if you're a Libra, you know that at least we share Venus. So I might just need to be doing it more behind the scenes. Or when I put out Venus, it might not look like where the energy is. So understand that people might just not understand. But I'm in alignment somewhere. I just got to slow down and understand the energy that's actually needed, not just what feels right based upon me sharing the same energy of this sign, right? If you are a square sign, so this is like Leo or Aquarius, you know that you are going to have to learn. With your actions and what you're paying attention to, you should be learning first. You should look to learn first and then act in accordance, not the other way around, acting out, right? And then depending on what sign you are, you know what spectrum it is. If you're an Aquarius, you need to do things, again, maybe not communicate as much, or understand how to do things in the Taurus like way. If it's Leo, you know that you need to learn why it's not always cool to, as a Leo, you might need to learn why it's not always cool to express yourself in an explosive manner, or maybe why it's not always good to think that you got the best way to see something, right? Being more practical with with what you see. For Aquarius, you know that it's not, you're gonna learn why it's not always good to communicate or be distant about things, why it's not always good to just be in a bunch of different associations, why you might need to be a little more selective and concentrated on what it is that you're doing. A little less trying to stand out, a little more trying to put the pieces together. Like, what I'm saying, it's situations like that where you're gonna have to learn whatever actions you in. And then when it comes to the moon, not the moon, but Scorpio, the opposition, you know that you are most likely doing the opposite thing. So you need to learn why it's important to incorporate some of that other energy into your mix, and you need to learn where your energy is still important though. So it's a balancing. So depending on, again, your alignment to the current sun's transit, that's going to give you an idea of the season and what you need to be doing during that time, that 30 days where you're dealing with that. Now, if you're cuspy, it's going to take a little more of brain power to understand it, but it's not that hard because you just look at the two elements you are in their relation to where the sign is. So if you're a Gemini, no, that's not a good one. If you're a, if you're a Sag, Libra, no, Sag, Scorpio cusp, you're dealing with a little bit of opposition and a little bit of a misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? So okay, there's gonna be it's gonna be things that I need to bring balance to, but I'm probably not gonna be able to bring balance until I work out that misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're say you're a Cancer, Gemini, you know that when it comes to the Scorpio, when it comes to the energy we're going down right now with the Sun in Taurus, you know that there's going to be, again, a misunderstanding, but that's going to lead to an opportunity. So the better I can work out that misunderstanding, or that's the sign I'm heading into, you know what I'm saying? That's the sign that's I'm ahead of what I left behind. So it's kind of like, you know, as a Gemini, there might be things that you still need to learn from the Taurus, right? Again, it still creates a misunderstanding because you're more Gemini when times we're in is not yet ready for Gemini. So it's kind of like you have to kind of be like, you have to clear out that misunderstanding, but there's still room for opportunities. And then you can get creative with it and just understand that, well, this is the energy that's going to be ready. So I need to make sure that I'm doing what's necessarily on the back end so that I'm ready for this energy, and I'm gonna be hella ready because I'm this energy. This energy's coming up. I just got to be patient enough to understand what's coming before that, to get context to where I need to be communicating on. I need to get better context on what I should be communicating on in an emotional way. You know what I'm saying? We get creative on this side with astrology. This shit is really a tool, and you can really get creative with how you utilize it in your life, just understanding the basic elements of shit. You know what I'm saying? That's where it really gets, it's where you really start to have fun with things, because it's just like, now you know, okay, it's as simple as just knowing what these energies are and what I'm going through. You know what I'm saying? As you go into the other, like Mars, Venus, the tools, things that's not so much like the sun and moon, which is representations of your expression and your reaction. That's like closer to you than your Mars, which is just how you utilize, how your sun and moon filter through frustration, how your sun and moon filter through love and appreciation and value and compromising, how your sun and moon, you know what I'm saying? That's why all these other planets is more so secondary, right? But yeah, that being said, now when it comes to the moon, moon moves a lot faster. It's about 2 days. So, you know, as we go through different moon phases, how you need to change and correlate things according to what's comfortable at the moment. But here's a good tip. When you're going through certain moon transits, it's a good indication of knowing when it's time to be uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? You know, if the moon is in a square sign to you, you're going to have to learn how to be uncomfortable. If the moon is in opposition, you know that's a situation where you're going to have to find balance in order to gain comfortability, aka dealing with being uncomfortable until you can emotionally understand and see where the balance can be had at, on an emotional level. You know, with that uncomfortability, how are you able to still face it and bring balance to it emotionally, where you can use the space your emotions are in to allow comfort for anything that you might feel like you be lacking when it comes to where the moon is actually at. That's a little hard to explain, but it's just like, if you are a Sagittarius moon, and we're going through the opposition of, even though this isn't a harsh opposition, but you know that the moon is in Gemini, you need to look at that day and say, okay, because it's not always about like, oh, I was in opposition with my moon, I had a bad day. It's not going to be like a good day, bad day thing, but it's going to be like understanding that the world is reacting to where the moon is currently at, Gemini. So this is being more communicative. So you know that you're going to have to, in order to take care of this energy or interact with the day properly, you're going to have to do a little more communicating when it comes to, or adapting and changing to other styles of communication when it comes to the emotional level. But you're more comfortable with going through the experience itself. So you need to be like, well, if I'm comfortable with the experience itself, I need to just look at this as me experiencing what it's like to communicate more about the feelings. And like, this is just an example, you know what I'm saying? You could do that with any sign though. Just understand your energy and seeing where you can use that to get comfortable with the uncomfortability of what is necessary. If you're a Pisces and you're dealing with Virgo moon, right? Pisces moon dealing with Virgo moon, you know that the moon is in a space where we need to be more practical. We need to look more about, we might be a little more worried about stability. We need to be a little more responsible about reality. Use your ability to imagine. So imagine a situation in which you could work on being more stable, and it's like, with your, again, you could use that delusions and stuff like that. Use your illusions or your imaginations to either comfort yourself enough to be aware of where you need to be more practical, or the other opposite end. Allow your emotions to connect to what makes them. It's like you just got to get creative with how you do it. You know what I'm saying? You use your emotions to use your ability to connect and see, like, again, you already connected, and you got that wisdom, and you feel like you picking up on things. Well, listen to your intuition. Do you need to be more, use your intuition to figure out how you can be more realistic at the moment emotionally, like what you should be reacting to. Like, use your intuition. Do I really need to worry about that bill? You know what I'm saying? Maybe I should make that bill something on my imagination so that I can take care of it. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe I should allow the moon's uncomfortability to get me out of my feelings long enough to, you know what I'm saying, just get creative with it, basically. But, with the moon being in, so the moon being in Taurus, exalted, is dealing with a square from Pluto. So an emotional, learning how to transform ourselves emotionally to fit what we need to be communicating about. Basically, it's like we need to transform our network so that we can continue to plant the seed. So based upon where the moon is, this is making you feel, again, a lot of emotional energy when it comes to your values. So understanding how your values transform or affect your new network, and then learning how to balance these things out. You know what I'm saying? Who do you need to be communicating with based upon your values? And I might have tackled these already pretty much, just talking about on that last video. I really wanted to make this video talking about what the transition is from the new moon to the full moon, because the full moon is going to be in Scorpio. So, looking at your chart, whatever house you have Taurus at, this is where we're starting out. And the end result is going to be it needs to be satisfaction in the opposite energy. So wherever you have Scorpio at. And now this is going to be the opposition between our north node, which is in Taurus, and the south node in Scorpio. So we need to be satisfied enough with our past to release certain things and let go and transmute and transcend. Basically, that's all Scorpio energy. When the full moon in Scorpio happens, we need to be satisfied with the deep passions that we have, and we need to be able to release past stuff. Again, things correlated to where the south node is. So things that we know we're beyond now, things from our past, things that, again, affected our spiritual path, again, things that helped us along our spiritual path as well. We need to be in a space where we can release and transmute that energy. Now, if you plant bad seeds during this time period, that's going to be a time in which you're going to feel like you have to either hide, or it's going to be feeling like you have to revert back to old ways, revert back to things that, again, old obsessions. You're truly not going to be in a space where you can move forward. It's going to be a lot of retroactive energy. And then this is even more amplified due to the fact that we are dealing with a Mercury retrograde that has us that's going to be in the opposite space of where the south node is currently. You know what I'm saying? Mercury retrograde opposite the south node. Right now, we're going to be going through a period of time where we all mentally are going to be looking at the past situations, past values specifically, past things that built our self-esteem, past things that correlated to gifts and talents we believe we had, or that we were trying to be consistent on, or that we potentially was too stubborn on. Now is going to be a time of reconsidering these things and seeing how they can fit into the new mode, or whether these are things, again, at the end of this transit that we realize, okay, I really must have mastered that, because that's what the south node really is. Things that we've mastered that we can utilize to gain comfort whenever we're a little too uncomfortable. We can always revert to that energy to make us feel comfortable again. So it's a situation where, again, as we're going through these different transits, you'll be able to know, okay, I'm going into new territory, and that's where the new territory is, where the sun is at. That's where we're focusing on. And that's where right now, as an emotion, or as where the moon is at, this is what we need to be working to get comfortable with, come into grips with. Okay, I'm about to get real uncomfortable this month, but it's for a reason. It's for me to set the foundation and plant the seeds I know I need to make. And that's why I was saying the importance of the throat chakra. Right now, we are speaking the tone. We are setting the tone for the year. What you speak is what's going to end up becoming real in your reality and your surroundings. This becomes into the third house, Gemini, conversations, neighbors. And I like to look at neighbors as the frequent thoughts and feelings that you encounter on a day-by-day basis, because it's almost like the sixth house, but it's not. It's immutable energy, so it's dealing with adaptable and changeable shit. But And then understanding, like I said, I love to look at astrology just in terms of progression. Right now, we're getting our values straight. We need to speak what we want to see into life. Speak what we want to see. Throat chakra coming from that Aries energy in our subconscious now, because now it's in the 12th house of where the sun is at. So now all those good seeds and good fruits that you had from Aries should be what's supplying the mind now, and motivating the throat, motivating you to speak on, again, the right shit, your values. And as you speak, you're going to start to construct these values. And then now the air you breathe and what's in your circumference you're going to start to see that when we hit Gemini. But before we get there, the moon, right? So the moon right now is going to be reacting and responding to those values. When the moon gets into, and this is going to be the progression up until we get to the full moon. When the moon gets into Gemini, this is going to be you speaking on what's practical to you, speaking on what's real to you, speaking on your values, right? Because we're going to have the sun in Taurus, moon in Gemini. It's still going to be a bit of a sextile, so due to the sun still being in that cuspy energy. So this is opportunities early on to speak your shit, to talk your shit and put it out in the world. Continue. And then the moon is going to get into Cancer. With the moon in Cancer, that's another opportunity, a good opportunity for you to now take what you were speaking on. Now you got some more information to work with. Now let's get comfortable. And there's going to be an opportunity for you to truly get comfortable with your new values, get comfortable with your new consistent actions, right? Or planting bad seeds, getting comfortable with the stubborn, not rejecting what is realistic for you to do, and you just want to do what you want to do, and you not actually considering nobody. You being selfish, you being stubborn, you doing the Taurus energy in the wrong way, where you're blinded by material or blinded by, again, your desires, your wants and stuff like that. But you're not being intelligent, or you're not being practical in a real sense. You know what I'm saying? You're not laying a foundation for your future, or laying a foundation for yourself correlated to your values. You're doing one based upon pleasures that you don't want to let go of. So you're overindulging, basically, with your son. That's what we could deal with during this time. You're doing things based upon pleasures and wanting to overindulge. You're doing things based upon laziness. You don't want to put in the work. You just want to do what's, again, you being stubborn. You just want to do what you think is going to get you that pleasure every day. This is a lazy Taurus, a Taurus that's not actually able to do what they're supposed to do in the world. They just, again, thinking about their pleasures, and so they situate their life to where they ain't got to do more than what's going to get them their pleasure, their base pleasure. And then they put themselves in tough situations like that, where they're relying on other people. And again, Tauruses hate that shit, and they set it up usually to where they don't got to deal with that. But again, you get in that Scorpio axis real quick, where now you're being manipulated, or you're being manipulative due to all that other shit that I was just talking about. But yeah, it's going to be an opportunity for you to get comfortable with this new consistent action, building on this momentum that I was talking about. So, and then when the moon gets into Leo, that's going to be learning. So that's going to be the midpoint. At this point, this is going to be, okay, learning how to express your values, learning how to set the stage for your platform. So everything that you was building as a foundation, how do you set the seeds? How you set the stage for the seeds that you planted? AKA, how do you express yourself in a way that make it look like is a reason why you should be on the stage with me, or there's a reason why y'all should allow the stage to exist, things like that. So this is going to be powerful energy for, again, building and actually situating yourself, giving these seeds spotlight and sunlight so that they can grow. And then you go into Virgo, where now you can continue to work on that stage. You can now work on these seeds, and again, this should be a time in which you should be able to celebrate, like, almost like, again, this is going to be the gift again. So you're going to have the gift of kind of knowing what practical adjustments to make to your seeds. Then it's going to go into Libra. This is going to be figuring out how we need to communicate and what relationships actually can benefit these seeds, how we can get these seeds in the hands of others so that they can grow their own plants from this garden. You know what I'm saying? How we can share and where we can relate our values. Basically, that's relating values. And then Scorpio, that's going to be the full moon, where from that point, you should be satisfied with everything behind the scenes, aka the roots of the seeds, the deep, dark undertone of where the seeds come from, those deep intentions, those should be satisfied, to where you don't have to do no over the top manipulating. You don't got to do no behind the scenes or working in a way in which you got to rely on other people's values. You built your values up enough to where other people want to work with you. And now you could play the Scorpio in power play, right? But it don't got to look like you getting blood on your hands. It's looking like, oh, this is a power play, but it's a power play for all of us because the intentions are pure. You know, this is a power play because everybody involved, they deeply is from the root. You know what I'm saying? They supposed to be here with me. Not, this is a power play because now I'm desperate and I don't have no way to make my life stable, so I got to do some behind the scenes shit. And then that's how you tip the scale over. Now you doing behind the scenes shit, trying to get your surface level looking right, when it should be the other way around. You did it from the ground up, so everything's thorough from the ground up. What you see on the surface is what you got. So even if I go digging, I can see the roots and be like, oh damn, these some healthy ass roots. You feel me? And that's going to be the cycle from the moon and Taurus all the way up into there. But yeah, I think I already kind of got into the transit, so I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I hit everything, because the moon's gonna, well, for the sake of it, moon gonna be sextile in Cancer, so there's opportunities for us to feel comfortable about our passions, to secure our passions, and truly have a, you know, a very, it's hard to explain, but it's just a private but very strong and stable way to go about our passions. You know, so our passions right now, if you're doing what it is that you love and you found comfort in kind of just your own motivating yourself, and you're seeing a reason to get up again, instead of being lazy at this time, you know what to be passionate about. Even if you have low energy, it's like, you know, when you do get energy, what it is that gets you out of the bed and what you want to direct it towards. Then this energy is going to create, again, opportunities for you to feel more comfortable with that, feel more confident in that, and see where you can value those things, see where your values line up with your passions, and how you can actually utilize your passions to get to your values and stuff like that. So this is a good planning time, you know, situating yourself, figuring out what your schedule going to look like for these next 30 days and shit like that, figuring out what you striving for, what you going to start to put into action, what you going to lay as a brick for a foundation. Moon gonna be, yeah, like all that Jupiter shit, that's more so behind us. Mercury's going retrograde, so yeah, you know, just that's gonna be energy. I'll probably gonna make a separate video for that, but you know, again, like I said, rethinking values for the most part. Moon gonna be, yeah, I talked about Pluto. Yeah, I think that's it for the most part, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, just talking about the energies and getting y'all prepared to understand what the moon cycles coming up is finna be like, because yeah, like, you know, it's that time, you know, with eclipse season going on. It's just, you know, it's never a better time. It's a great time to get serious. You should have already been serious, like, especially on this channel. I feel like, man, I feel like everybody here pretty serious. So it's like, you already been serious about your shit. So right now it's just time to take it up a notch, like go the extra mile to get with the uncomfortable feeling. You know what I'm saying? Preparing yourself mentally for just, again, a fresh approach to these things that, again, it's time. It's time for us to push ourselves into a new space. So anyway, much love, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.